Hey, who here has ever failed professionally at something? I know I have, and I wanted to talk about failure today because it's a topic that has come up a few times. I talk to an awful lot of people. I have, in the last month or two, talked to people who have a Harvard MBA, who have medical degrees, who have they're attorneys, they've been professional, serial business owners of brick and mortar companies, even network marketers. And so failure to people who think big is not an unfamiliar thing, but how we recover from it is important. And I'm talking about it because this is a topic that I struggle with. Um, you know, any of us who have ever dreamed have probably tried to do something and it hasn't gone quite according to plan, even if you have done all your homework. So let me walk you through a scenario. So maybe you had a really good idea and you went to SBA and SCORE and you got help from all the experts. You wrote a great big business plan. You floated it in front of a lot of colleagues. You went through all the numbers. You did your research. You did your homework. And, you went to the bank and they looked through it all. And you had these great big plans and you put it out there. And then things didn't go quite according to plan, even though everybody who had looked at it said you were onto something. Now, I don't know about you, but in the past when I've started something, if I'm being really honest, there's been two primary drivers behind my getting started with a venture. And I am talking business things, not, personal risks. And so that would be number one. I really wanted to make a difference. Have you ever started something because you wanted to make a difference? You wanted to make a big impact on the world. You really wanted to change people's lives. You wanted to influence them for the better, help them with their health, help them with their well-being, whatever. There was some larger than life, non-personal, nothing that was going to be for your own benefit reason that you wanted to do something. But if I'm being super honest with myself, the second reason is I wanted money. I really wanted to hit it out of the park. I wanted it to be big. I wanted it to be something that would take care of myself and my family, maybe even the grandkids, the future, to build a legacy, to put a wall around myself and my family financially so that we didn't have to worry. And it's not because I wanted to retire and go sit on the beach, although I like going to the beach, but I can't imagine myself ever not working because I love to work and I love to really put my mind into something and put all my effort into something. So making a whole lot of money for me wasn't about then taking myself out of the game. It was just knowing that I had done really well in the game. Don't know if any of you can relate to that. So then what happens when that doesn't go according to plan? Again, talking about myself, don't know how you feel, and I'd love your input on how you felt when this happens. When you fall, and sometimes it can be a pretty public fall, then I have dealt with the guilt of, I made a promise. I made a promise to my customers, I made a promise to my investors, I made a promise to my family that I would succeed, that I knew what the hell I was doing, and I would make it work. No matter what it took, I would make it work. And when you don't deliver on that promise, what do you do then? So, there could be a tendency, and I joke about it, gee, I think I'm just going to go crawl under a rock and stay there. Okay, but that's obviously not an option. What are more real considerations is what do you do next? And here's some of what I've been listening to when I've talked to other people who have played big and failed big. You might find yourself in one of two positions. The harder of the two positions is that you really are financially strapped and you might not have a paycheck anymore. You're living hand to mouth. You don't know how you're going to pay your bills. And again, if you've got a family to take care of, you feel like a real schmuck for putting them in a situation because you had a dream that you didn't make come true. So if that's the case, you really are in a tough place financially. But the second place you might be is you're still okay on money, but you are now being very, very conservative. You've been burned. You want to make sure that you're smarter next time. And so that is clouding your decision making. when I worked with investors, they used to give ratios where they would say, for every 10 investments we're going to make, we're going to expect that 7 or 8 of them are going to break even. Whether we put 10,000 or 100,000 into them, we think we'll get that 10,000 or 100,000 back, maybe a tiny bit more, but nothing significant. We expect that, one deal that we put 100,000 or 500,000 into, we're going to lose 6, 7, 800,000. Collectively, we're going to lose the group's money. And we just know that's going to happen no matter how much we do our homework. Every once in a while, we're wrong, and the business startup group is wrong about where the thing is going to go. But we bank on one hitting it out of the park, so it takes care of the other 9 that either did just okay or really sank. So, an investor is not going to stop investing because 8 or 9 of his deals didn't make any money at all and one of them lost money. They understand the game. They understand that unless they stay in the game and keep putting money in the economy, they have 0 chance of hitting it out of the park, right? So likewise with you, if you've been burned, if you've lost everything, if you now decide that you're scared and you decide that you're not going to put any money into anything going forward, you're going to play it really safe, you're going to go get that corporate job again. Well, let me ask, if you're a numbers person, can't you predict where that's going to go? Say you're going to make 300 grand a year with your new job. Well, that's good. By the time you take taxes out of it and the mortgage and the kids' college tuition and, whatever else, maybe some debt you've got from your leftover debacle, you don't have a great lifestyle. You have an okay lifestyle, but you don't have a great lifestyle, and you're certainly not legacy building at this point. What if you live in a teeny tiny town and you're older and the options are not great and the best you can do is 50,000 a year? Well, you sure are putting yourself and your family in a future that is absolutely doomed to go nowhere. Say you're the person who, really got themselves in a financial bind, and right now you literally couldn't come up with today or tomorrow $2,000 to put in a new investment. Let me ask you, what is going to change if you don't take the chance again to stand up tall, put your shoulders back, brush yourself off, and go for it? Will this be the thing that hits it out of the park? The only way you can find out is if you give it a try. And again, comparatively speaking, from a brick and mortar investment or a high-tech startup, $2,000 investment in a business is peanuts. It's nothing, and say your overhead is maybe another $700 to $1,000 a year. That's nothing. Nothing. That's like a day or an hour's worth of overhead in some regular businesses. But you're hurting. I get that. You've lost confidence. I understand that. I really do. And I wake up in the morning and go sometimes, what did I do? Why did I do it? What the heck am I thinking now? Who am I to think that I'm going to get a second chance or a 14th chance? But, on a very serious note, I don't know about you, but I have friends who aren't here anymore. I woke up this morning. I'm breathing. I'm sitting here talking to you all. That is not something I ever take for granted. So the fact that I'm still here, I seriously believe we have an obligation, each and every one of us, we have an obligation to live large, to go try as hard as we can. Your ego got bruised, so what? Your bank account got lowered, well, there's one way to fix that, and there's really only one way to fix that, which is to go take a chance on yourself again. Unless you absolutely believe that you are the stupidest person on the planet, that you have no work ethic whatsoever, that you're incapable of being coached, that you can't learn anything new. And I would say, if you went to Harvard and got an MBA, or you got your medical degree or your law degree, or you've opened and closed a few businesses, that you didn't used to believe that you were the stupidest person on the planet. So stop indulging in that luxury of self-pity now. And yes, I'm talking to myself on occasion here. But the only way it's going to get better is if you try it again. Now, am I saying throw caution to the winds and don't do your due diligence and don't do your homework again? Of course not. But if you knew that you could get into the wearable technology space, if you looked at Forbes and they say where it's going, if you understand that technology is driving the world, that wearable tech is going with or without us, that World Global Network is going with or without us, that for a modest investment and modest overhead compared to any other kind of business that you can do, you can get started and you have the potential, finally, of doing the two things that probably put you in business the first time, which is to make a big impact in the world, make a difference in people's lives, go out and help people, both, physically and financially, because you know firsthand that when someone is hurting financially, everything else is colored. They can't take care of their stress levels, they can't take care of their health, they don't have time for their family. Everything else, all your other opportunities are colored if you don't have finances. So if you now have a chance to go impact people, and my dog is sleeping and dreaming, don't know if you can hear that in the background, but if you now have a chance to go out and impact people's lives, don't let your own fear get in the way of that. And if in the process you can go change your financial situation the way you intended to with the last venture that you got into, go give it a try again. You won't lose that much financially. You have a chance to redeem yourself. You have a chance to shine brightly in your own eyes and in your family's eyes again. You have a chance to be the leader that you were born to be, right? So again, personal failures are one thing. Professional failures seem to bleed into all sorts of different areas of your life, spiritually and emotionally and with relationships. And I invite you today that if you have experienced some sort of financial or professional failure, forgive yourself, look in the mirror and love on yourself a whole lot, and just go get started again. And the nice thing is with World Global Network, we have a ready-made, it's all done for you, kind of business in a box opportunity in a space that is making inroads, that's sold 500,000 units in just 9 months. We're on track to hit number 2 position in the Smart Band before the year is out. And it's an opportunity you can do from the comfort of your home or your smartphone or your car or your plane. So if you need to go get that job to feel like you're being a responsible adult, fine, go get the job so you have a steady paycheck, or keep the job that you took in the interim to keep a steady paycheck. But get started on this and get started on it today, and stop hiding behind, trying to rationalize that you're now going to be a responsible adult and not get started on some cockamamie scheme, because that's just an excuse, and excuses won't get you paid. So that's my thoughts on failure for today, because it's something that I think about on a recurrent basis. If you're not failing, you're not trying. It really is true. All right, go out and do good things. Bye.